Hello, guys. Welcome back to my Solve the Overeating Puzzle podcast. If you are new here, I am Eugenia, the founder of this podcast, and also Unlox'U, the eating psychology clinic, where we give you a mind plan instead of a diet plan so you can be in control of your eating, your life, your weight, and everything else that comes with it. Today, I'd like to talk about a common topic, a common challenge that a lot of people experience. And it's actually really interesting because when I tell people what I do, the first thing, and I give them an example of, for example, the challenges that my clients experience. The first thing that people say, oh, I have a problem with chocolate. I just can't stop eating chocolate when I start. So it's a very, very common topic. And that's why I think it's really important to also talk about. I've done a few blogs on this topic, but I thought maybe it would be good to do also a podcast on that because sometimes we don't want to read, sometimes we just want to listen. So therefore, I'm doing this podcast for you. So the topic is binge eating on chocolate. So binging on chocolate or overeating on chocolate or feeling like you're out of control once you start. You feel like you can't have chocolate at home. Otherwise, all you can think about is just to finish that chocolate until it's gone and then it's out of sight, out of mind. So I want to talk about why it happens and also, of course, to give you practical tools that you can start applying immediately if that's something that you want to do. So let's first talk about why it happens. Why do we binge on chocolate? Well, there are really, truly so many different reasons why we might experience that. And if you are new to my podcast, I actually would really like to suggest to you to download a free workbook. It hasn't been online, it hasn't been on my website for a while, but we are putting it back up because I just think it's such an important tool, and I really believe that will help a lot of people to really start looking into the root cause of our struggles or challenges with food or chocolate, or it really can even be applied to alcohol if that's something that you struggle with. So what I think is really important that we look into the root cause of the problem, because if you have sore throat, you are not going to treat your toes. You're not going to put a bandage on your foot and hope that it will help your throat. You're not gonna do it, right? You think, geez, that's silly, that's stupid. Yes, but it's something that we do in our diet when we want to sort out our diet, or when we are struggling with food, with binging or overeating, or just challenges around food. Because a lot of the time we just think, well, I just need to stop buying it. But I mean, really? Does it really help you? Has it really helped you in the past when you stopped buying it? Was it gone? Did you not think about it? Did you not then go into the next petrol station and got some chocolate, or when you felt tired or stressed, or you had a big day or a big week? Did you not kind of, when there was an opportunity, maybe at work, someone baked cake and you ate more than you would like to? Did it not happen? So does it really help us to not buy it? And we feel like, yes, I actually feel really at ease when it comes to food. Most of us will say, nah, actually, it doesn't help. No, it didn't really help me. So also another thing maybe people say when it comes to, let's say, sugar or chocolate, what else do they say? Usually I hear really not to buy it anymore. So I think really we need to look what is really causing it. And in the workbook, please just go ahead. I will add that to the show notes. It's a free workbook. Basically, you just can read through it. These are 13 reasons, 13 potential reasons why we might struggle with food. And I will go through some of it right now with you, and particularly the ones that will apply here. So let's have a look at these. The first one is blood sugar imbalance. Well, it does apply to chocolate. So let's say you started your day with maybe some bread and maybe jam on top of it, and that was your breakfast. Maybe you even had coffee with some sugar in it, and that was your breakfast. Or you had some cereal that is also a little bit sweet, and you started your day basically full of with carbs and sugar. And the carbs, they turn into blood sugar in your body as well. So you spiked your blood sugar, and I'm gonna tell you, 45 minutes later, your blood sugar will drop again, and you will want to have something carby or something sweet, because that's your body sending a signal to you, to your brain, I need glucose, I need more sugar in order to function. So we want to always come to this equilibrium, but we don't get into the equilibrium because we then respond to the body, and the body doesn't tell us probably, well, have some protein. It will just tell you, I need something. And usually the cravings will actually feel like I need something carby. I need to have something sweet to send that blood sugar up again. And so it goes into roller coaster. You might then go ahead and have something sweet. You might go ahead and have like a muffin or a muesli bar, or I don't know, something sweet again, or something carby, something that's yummy and delicious. And the same happens again. It goes, your blood sugar rises again, and then it will drop again. And then let's say for breakfast, you have a sandwich or sushi, and so on. And then the same happens again in the afternoon. Again, you have maybe like a muesli bar, because a lot of people feel like that's really healthy food. And it's not, I wouldn't say that it's not healthy, but let's say it does usually have a lot of sugar, and it doesn't really help our blood sugar. So now you come home and maybe you have some pasta again, and so on. And so your entire day was really about, and so your entire day you had blood sugar fluctuation, and it will increase your cravings for sugar, for sweet. And then let's say the evening comes, now you will be craving something that tastes good, something that's sweet, something that relaxes you. And hey, chocolate is there. Yeah, and maybe now we go actually even into the next trigger, which can be a habit. So now you might actually tend to have or to watch TV, turn the TV on, get some chocolate out, put it out in front of you, and just nibble on that chocolate. So it becomes kind of like a habit that you have developed, and it might also be, and that's another trigger, it might be part of your routine. That's what we do. Something that all my clients said regularly. So that's something that we do. We take a chocolate bar out, we put it on a table, and everyone just helps themselves. And it's all good. I don't have a problem with that. But if you are struggling with sugar cravings and you think, oh, I just don't have control, it might have nothing to do with control. It might actually just be your blood sugar that is creating a blood sugar dance. And then now in the evening, it might be a part of your blood sugar throughout the day. And it might also be now part of your routine in the evening and a habit that we've developed. So what is a habit? A habit is something that we do without really thinking too much about it. It's it's something that we do that it comes almost automatically to us, and it's almost hard to kind of separate it from a routine or a pattern that we have, because it might be part of your routine. It might be something that, let's say, on every time you get petrol, you also buy something sweet. You also buy, I don't know, like some form of lollies or chocolate, and you don't really think about it. Or on the same, let's say, every morning you get up, the first thing that you do is you drink coffee. That's a habit and it's part of your routine. So if, let's say, you did the same routine. So you got up and went to the bathroom and then put a bathrobe, went to the kitchen, and let's say now instead of making a coffee, you prepared some tea. Now you would think something feels odd. It doesn't feel comfortable. That's because it's part of your routine and part of your habit. And now your brain needs to think again. So when we do something out of habit, our brain really is lazy. Our brain doesn't want to always think and learn. It wants to create as many habits as possible so it can go on autopilot. Let's say if we had to learn every morning, we had to learn how to make coffee, it would be exhausting. So think about if you, for example, start a new job. The first week is exhausting because you learn so much. There is no routine, there is no habit. Everything needs to be developed from scratch, right? And that's why it's so tiring. So when you get up and you make coffee in the morning or a cup of tea, you don't really think about it. You put water into the jug and you just turn it on, you go and do something else in the between. And it's very much, very, very, very similar every morning, the same routine. Because your brain wants you to create that, because it wants to go on autopilot. It's like when you, for example, sit down in the car and you get to work, and sometimes you think, how did I even really kind of get there? I wasn't really present the entire time. Because you know this road, you know this path, and you don't need to think how to get there. Yeah, so that's what we do. That's what our brain does to get really comfortable, to create as many neural pathways in the brain as possible, so it just can trigger those neural pathways. When this happens, this is what I do. When this happens, this is what I do. Yeah, it is created to make our life a little bit easier. So when chocolate is part of your habit, and chocolate becomes a habit every time you get petrol and you also buy something sweet. When chocolate is part of your nighttime evening routine, every time you sit down and watch TV, something sweet comes out or certain snacks come out. And without it, it would feel weird. Without the snacks, without the chocolate, without the lollies, it might feel like something is missing. Even wine, yeah, or beer, same thing. It might feel like something is missing, and it will feel slightly odd for you because the brain now needs to be switched on and it thinks something is missing here. Yeah, I had a trigger, which is turning TV on, but there is no next step. The next step is missing. Where is it? Now it's really on alert and kind of tries to comprehend what's happening. So that is a habit. And that's why sometimes it can be just a habit that's causing it as well. Now I've now talked already about 3 possible triggers. I talked about blood sugar, I talked about routine and patterns, and I talked about habits. Another trigger that can also cause this are current food choices. Why? What is about current food choices? Current food choices add. So if let's say we eat a lot of foods that are kind of that have been created in laboratory. So it has a lot of additives and flavors and enhancers. It might have high fructose corn syrup, sugars, colorings, and those things. So those really strong flavors, they change our taste buds because our taste buds, they really get used to those stronger flavors. So if, let's say, I gave my child something sweet every day, something chocolate every day, maybe like chips or crisps, and then suddenly, and that's all she would be eating for, like, let's say, I don't know, a week, and then I would suddenly give her a cucumber, she would not really taste it. The cucumber would feel boring. It doesn't have any, it would not have any flavors for her. Or the same as broccoli or any sort of vegetables that don't have, let's say, all these additives, all these extra flavors. So when we get used to these strong flavors, these strong additives, now we don't like normal food. Yeah, so our palate changes. Those high palatable foods that have lots of salt and fat and sugar, they can cause our taste bud to change, and then everything becomes bland. It doesn't really taste any good anymore. Yeah, so we might then crave even more stronger flavors. We want maybe then more like sugary food because that's what, or more salty foods because we want to taste something. So our current food choices will then make a difference of what we want more of. Yeah, it will then ask your body, well, I want something that tastes a little bit more. Now, also our current food choices, they change our gut bacteria. And this is now we're coming to the next potential trigger, our gut bacteria. Our gut bacteria changes depending on what we eat. It even changes when we are sick or had, for example, food poisoning. It changes our gut bacteria, and we might find, had recently, for example, food poisoning, and I couldn't really eat properly for about a week, maybe a little bit longer, because even if I ate something, let's say what I would usually be able to digest, suddenly I had bloating. That's because my gut bacteria was fully out of balance and it couldn't really digest the food properly. So it takes a while for it to rebalance itself. And now that's why, let's say, when someone eats a lot of processed food that, like I said, has been created in a laboratory, or has lots of enhancers and flavors, I've just spoken about it, that person will have different gut bacteria to someone who eats a lot of, let's call it, real food. So food that has not been processed a lot. So when I say not processed a lot, let's say yogurt. I know that obviously yogurt has been processed. Cheese has been processed, right? We need to, it will be created out of milk. So therefore there is a process involved, but that's not what I talk about. I talk about really things where lots of things have been edited to make it taste even stronger, or colors or sugar and lots of fat and salt. So that's what I talk about. And that person will have different gut bacteria. If that person has, let's say, usually a lot of processed carbohydrates, and which turns them into sugar, then in addition they have a lot of sugar, that person will have different gut bacteria. And probably that person's gut bacteria will then try to get more sugar, more carbs, because that gut bacteria needs certain food in order then to grow. It will need to then to be able to expand, right? To create more, to get kind of It will need to have more carbs, more sugar in order then to grow or to recreate yourself, to expand. So that person will then really crave more sugar and more carbohydrates as well. We also know, now I'm coming to the next trigger, and that's a brain. Brain, reward, and pleasure. When we eat food, particularly highly palatable food, that means sugary, salty, fatty foods, when we eat that stimulates the reward system in the brain, the pleasure and reward system in the brain. And that's usually mostly dopamine. Dopamine is a hormone that does not feel fullest satisfaction. That is not what it's for. Dopamine is usually a hormone that will create a sense of wanting more. And that's why when you eat something like a piece of chocolate, just a small amount or small of amount, that something that tastes really good, it starts immediately that you think, oh, I want more of it. I just want to continue. Yeah. It doesn't really matter what it is. When we experience something that feels good, whether it tastes good or feels good, there is this thought of I want more. That's how we get addicted to gambling, to sex, to porn, that's how we create a lot of addiction. But also, actually, that's something that then will create a sense of I want to even create more. So let's say I I want money. And now I want to win even more. Let's say I build something like a certain career and it worked really well. Now there's a sense of that's not enough. I want more. I want bigger. I want more money. I want more fame. Because that hormone is never satisfied. It never feels like, yep, that feels now good. That's not what dopamine is for. There are other hormones, serotonin, oxytocin. That's when we experience that, but not with dopamine. So when we eat something like chocolate or lollies or sugary or fatty, sugary, salty foods, it does stimulate that reward system in your brain, and now you want more of it. And that's why a lot of people say, once it's gone, I know at least it's gone. So we have that, we feel like, okay, now I can actually relax. The dopamine is also some hormone that will be released not just only trying it or eating it, but also by just seeing it. Because you know what it's going to taste like. So it starts stimulating and will tell you, here, you need more of it. You need to have it in order then to feel good. So that's why when a lot of people, when they have something sweet at home or chocolate or something that is yummy, they can't stop thinking about it. That's because that hormone is already released in your brain and it's just there and kind of sending you a signal, come get it, come get it, come get it. You will feel good. It will feel good. And then maybe you will say, oh, okay, that's enough. It's easier to just have it. You will have it, and if it's still there, if the chocolate is still there, if the cake is still there, after a while, you will start thinking about it again, and you will want to eat it again. So that's how it happens. That's why we want more of it and feel like we just don't have any control because of that. We don't have control because there is actually something physically that happens in our brain and we really want more of it. Yeah, so also another trigger is diet and restrictions. Now, when we restrict, and that's why I asked you at the beginning, has it ever helped you to just say, well, I'm not going to have it again? Has it really helped you? Did it really work for you? How long did you last? It doesn't really help or most of us can do it for a while. Most of us can restrict ourselves from things that we love, including chocolate, for a certain while. And then at some point, when there is an opportunity, we will have that again because we know that it's going to taste good. But unfortunately, what can happen now is that it actually triggers something in you and you go on a binge because there is a sense of because you feel like it's not going to be available to you anytime soon. So you will want to have even more of it. And that's why you food rules create psychological and also perceived restrictions. It creates that forbidden food effect. So forbidden foods, they now become even more appealing to us. Maybe you were growing up and your parents weren't uh, and your parents didn't allow you to eat certain foods. Maybe your parents were hiding chocolates and sweets from you. Maybe your parents thought that you are overweight you were overweight as a child and they wanted to help you. They meant it well, maybe, and we're hiding or we're telling you you shouldn't be eating these foods. And then when you had that control yourself, when you had maybe money or you went out and had some pocket money and you had the opportunity, you then ate even more. Yeah, so that is the result of this forbidden food effect. So the more we avoid eating food that we really enjoy and want, the more this food will really control us. So that's why by integrating this food regularly into our diet, it will lose its control. But you also need to consider those other things. So that's why I said at the beginning, it's really important that we understand what the trigger is so we can treat exactly what the challenge is. Yeah, what is causing this issue. Otherwise, you will be trying to pinpoint and you will try certain things and you might get there at some point. You might even get there, but it will last. It will take much, much longer until you until you by chance will find out what it is. So really, really, really important. So with chocolate, yes, we need to integrate it on a regular basis, whether it's once a day, whether it's once a week, once a fortnight, once a month. It will determine on your situation. It will depend on you, how often you really want it. I have something sweet from time to time, but not every day because I don't feel the need for it. I don't crave it every day. Not if I eat it right. Yeah? If I don't eat enough, for example, throughout the day, so that comes also diet and restrictions. And I don't eat enough during the day because I restrict or diet, but I sometimes don't eat enough because I'm someone who doesn't have really appetite. So I feel like I'm hungry, but I don't have appetite for certain foods. So then I just can't get over it and can't really eat something that I don't have appetite for. It's a really interesting one with me. So although I know I should be eating, so sometimes a lot of time goes past and I keep thinking, what do I really feel like? And I don't really feel like anything, but I know I'm hungry. So then what can happen is that in the evening my body just wants sugar, yeah, because it wants to catch up also on calories as well. So that's also something for us to consider. If we don't eat enough during the day, it can also then create cravings for food that's highly calorie dense because your body is trying to catch up on calories. And unfortunately, quite often we then tend to eat foods that have so many calories and also spikes our blood sugar, so it doesn't really help us then in the evening. So not a good thing. Also, something that we can think about, it doesn't really apply directly to sugar cravings, but it can apply indirectly, which is body image and weight focus. So how does it apply? So let's say if I don't like myself and I check constantly how I look, I don't like how my body feels or looks, what might happen is that you tend to kind of go on a diet. Yeah. And that's what comes to the point that I was speaking about before. Maybe you are restricting foods then, and then you starve yourself, and then you just at some point snap and want to eat chocolate again or something sweet, because your body, it will be craving food that is higher on calories. So that can also be something for you to consider. Another trigger are sensory triggers. So what are sensory triggers? Sensory triggers is our senses. So we see, we smell, we taste, we hear people talk about food, and we respond. So have you ever, for example, scrolled through Instagram or Pinterest and then suddenly you saw something really yummy? You saw a yummy pizza or a yummy chocolate mug cake, or you saw a beautiful cake or a muffin or whatever you fancy, and you thought to yourself, oh, that's yummy, I could eat it now again. Yeah, or you walk past, for example, a bakery or a fish and chip shop or something that smells really good and think, oh God, that smells so good, I'm gonna eat it now too. Yeah, so what happened there is you got triggered by your senses. So you got triggered by smelling or seeing the food, or like we spoke about it before, you had a piece of something and you feel like, oh, I just want to continue. So all of these triggers are actually, again, triggering dopamine. It's a memory and it triggers a dopamine, and now your brain reminds you of how great it tastes. And if you just only try it, if you have a little bit of it, if you ate it, you will feel so good. Yeah, so that's what happens. And we talked about dopamine, so I don't need to go through it again. The next trigger is an emotional trigger, and that's a little bit of a bigger one, because there is just also so much to talk about. And I'm just trying to give you some examples. Emotional triggers. Now think about, you had a bad day. You had an argument with your partner or with someone else. You had a really hard day at work and you feel really tired and upset, and something is happening emotionally, and you just thought, oh, I just want something. I just want an ice cream, or I just wanted chocolate. Or you felt really stressed, someone really upset you, and you just went into the kitchen and just ate something quickly. There was a trigger, there was an emotional trigger, and that trigger then sends you into this behavior. So the triggers, how they happen, there is a trigger, there is a behavior, and there's a reward. So there's these three steps to make it really simple. And the trigger was an emotion that you experience. The behavior is you go and eat. And the reward is it makes you feel good. It relaxes you. Yeah. And when we experience certain emotions, sometimes there can be a habit or a pattern, a routine that triggers that behavior. So when you feel sad, you go and eat. When you feel stressed, you go and eat. When you feel like it was a hard day and you want to reward yourself. You go and have a glass of wine at the end of the day or at the end of the week. So all these are triggers by emotion. So it's an emotion that led to this behavior. So it's really important then for us to look which emotions lead to these behaviors. What is it that we are wanting? So what is the reward that we are looking for? Do I want to feel relaxed? Do I want to feel rewarded? Do I want to create some pleasure? Do I just want to kind of chill and switch off? So what is it that you're looking for? So what is that reward that you're looking for? And what is the behavior that you can do in order to achieve that reward? Yeah, so we can really think about it. It can be food. It can be a glass of wine. It can also be maybe a walk. It can also be a gym session. It can also be a hug. It can also be watching a Netflix show. Yeah, it can also be going out with your friend and going for a coffee, or to go on a trip, to go and have a facial, go and get a hairdresser. There are so many things that we can do in order to get that feeling that we're looking for. But for now, we have created that habit to eat in order to get that sense of relaxation and stress relief, or whatever else you're looking for. Yeah, so let's start with what is the emotion that triggers that behavior? And then next time when you feel that emotion rise up, can you start practicing that behavior, that new behavior, in order to then to achieve the reward that you're looking for? It takes time. It takes time, my friends. It takes time. It takes practice. But I promise you, you will get there. I promise it to you. I was exactly like that. Oh my God. I had so many struggles when it comes to food. So many struggles. So many years. And now it's all gone. I promise you, it's all gone. It's incredible. I can eat chocolate, I can eat cake, it doesn't matter. It doesn't lead to any binges, it doesn't lead to any emotional struggles, nothing. Because it's just one food. And therefore, because it's just food, now I can just eat one and move on with my life. It doesn't lead to any extra food. So therefore, it doesn't lead to any weight gain, because my body knows how many calories I need. Today I had a little bit more. Tomorrow I eat less, because my body just knows how to balance itself. Our bodies are incredibly smart. Your body will not want to gain weight unless it needs to be in healthy weight. If you are not in a healthy weight, whether it's plus or minus, it will want to come to a place where it feels most comfortable. When we create a healthy relationship with food, our body will come to a weight where it feels comfortable. And for some, it might mean it might need to gain a little bit of weight. For some people, it might mean it will want to lose weight. Yeah, our bodies will always want to come to equilibrium. So that's why we need to, when we are creating and healing our relationship with food, you will get to a place where your body's comfortable, your mind is comfortable, you're psychologically comfortable, and you feel content and at peace. The next trigger can be our beliefs and negative self-talk. Beliefs and negative self-talk. And quite often, we actually are not even realizing what our beliefs are. Our beliefs, and this is now me, our beliefs are thoughts that we no longer question. Think about that. I'm going to repeat this again. Our beliefs are thoughts that we no longer question. So if we no longer question something, now it feels like it's real. Of course it's like that. But is it? Yep. It's just something that we stop questioning. And when we have certain beliefs about ourselves, about food, about the world, it will create certain feelings. And those feelings will then lead to certain behaviors, certain actions, and that will then lead to certain results. So I'm going to give you an example. If, let's say, I believe I just have addiction to food. I just have addiction to food. That's just who I am. I've always had that. My mom had it. My auntie had it. I've always had that. So when I feel that way, when I think that way, how do I feel? How does that make me feel to believe that I just have addiction to food? I know it makes me feel defeated. I feel like I've just lost the game. I feel hopeless. And if I feel defeated and hopeless, the next time I sit on the couch in the evening, watch TV, and all I want is chocolate, what do you think I'm going to do? I already feel like I just have addiction to food. I feel defeated. I feel hopeless. I feel like I don't have any chance. Well, I just go, might as well and eat it. Because that's who I am. And then when I eat that chocolate, my results are that I am, again, confirming that belief. I have now proved that that's who I am. And now those thoughts that I had in the past, now it's a firm belief. I don't even question it anymore because I just know that that's who I am. So we really need to be very careful what we tell ourselves and what we believe and what kind of actions it lead to. So when you eat that chocolate, what are the beliefs that you might be carrying? What are the thoughts that you're having that might lead to it? So that might lead to you eating it. So always questioning, always go back further, few steps back and think about what are the thoughts that you had at the beginning? Are there certain beliefs that you have that you no longer question? What are the beliefs that you believe that are leading to this behavior, and you're in this vicious cycle? So we need to go back and start really dismantle those beliefs and question them. Is it really that way? Is it really your reality? Is it really that way? And now we're coming to the next trigger. And if eating chocolate or food or anything, any behaviors that you don't like are part of your coping mechanisms, well, here we are. That's again, it's part of your pattern, part of your routine. It's part of emotions. So let's say every time you're bored, you just go and get up and eat food. It's a coping mechanism because it's a feeling. Boredom is a feeling that you are trying to avoid. So if I go and eat food, it makes me feel good, gives me a sense of release of dopamine, makes me feel good, and it gave me something to do. But hey, what happens? You ate something, okay, now you go back to the same activity that you did before, and now how do we feel now? We feel bored again. So what are we going to do? Let's just eat again. And how long, and how often are we going to do it? Or you feel a certain emotion, so you feel sad. Every time you feel sad, maybe you go and eat. So it becomes a coping mechanism. And we develop these coping mechanisms over time. It might be from your childhood. It might start when you experience something traumatic. Like maybe you had a divorce, and that's when you started eating to cope, to manage all the stress, to manage all that's been happening. And now it's just something that you do and you just can't quite get out of it. We create quite often coping mechanisms to numb ourselves, to numb the emotion, or to distract ourselves from the uncomfortable feeling that we experience. It's our go-to behavior. Yeah, that's a part of our habits that we've developed. So the brain has developed these neural pathways that are firing in order to execute a certain behavior every time when you experience certain feeling or emotion. Yeah, it's the neural pathways. Again, there is a triggers that you experience boredom, poof, sends the signal, go and do this behavior. Yeah, we talked a little bit about it before. Can also be that self-sabotaging behavior when we experience, for example, happiness. And deep down, there is a sense of you that feels like I don't deserve to feel that good. So let me sabotage that feeling and I'm going to eat and now I will feel bad. Or I will eat way too much and now I don't feel good anymore. Yeah, so these are the different triggers that can lead to you feeling like you don't have control over food or chocolate. So don't forget that most of our behaviors are learned. They are created through repetition. So it's something that we do over and over and over and over again. And now it's something that we just do automatically. #habit. We talked about it. Yeah. So if you tend to eat chocolate at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, or when everybody has gone to bed and nobody's watching and you're alone, it's a habit. Maybe it's even a coping mechanism that you experience. Maybe you have a visual trigger, you saw chocolate and now your brain sends that signal to your brain, how go and eat it, makes you feel good. It was a visual trigger. And now you go and eat it. Yeah, the dopamine did its work. So what do we do? Where do we even start? I've mentioned a few points, but what do we do? It really, guys, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really, really, really important that we find out which of the triggers it is for you. And sometimes, or quite often actually, people said to me, oh my God, it sounds like everything. Okay. So what we're gonna do is next time when it happens, then think which one was this time. So let's work on that one first. And then when it happens again, you think, okay, which one was that? Was it the same or was it another one? So let's work on that again. And so that's how you go one by one by one by one after the other, until you've gone through all of them. And that way you will be able to heal your relationship with whether it's chocolate or food or alcohol. So really important, if emotions, that's something that you struggle with, make friends with emotions. Emotions is something that we experience as humans. We experience a variety of emotions: happiness, sadness, frustration, anger, disappointment, hope, joy, pleasure, so many emotions that will keep coming up for you. So it's just what we do with them. Change your diet. If blood sugar fluctuation is something that you struggle with, that one is usually one of the easiest to change. Integrate some protein, integrate some fats, integrate some fiber, so some vegetables into your diet, and that way you can stabilize your blood sugar a little bit as well. It will always rise when you eat. That's normal. It needs to happen. But if you integrate protein, fat, and fiber into your meals, into every of your meal, you will feel much more satisfied, and you will notice you experience less cravings. I promise it to you. if you feel like you're tired, and when you're tired, you crave sugar, it's again very normal because your body is trying again to get more energy. You get more energy through carbohydrates because they turn into blood sugar. You get that burst of energy. But it doesn't last, right? Because it drops, and then you will need to eat again in order to get that energy. If sleep is something that you struggle with, what is it that you can do to help yourself? Here's me, mama, over 1 year and 8 months, and we are just getting there to get kind of a semi good sleep, and we're not even sleeping through. But when we get a 1 wake in the night, happy here. So is there something that you can do to help to improve your sleep? Also, some tips from me, what you can do with chocolate. So what I found that helps my clients is to get that chocolate, buy that chocolate, break it into pieces, take it out of a wrapper, break it into pieces, and put it into a neutral container. Put that container away, and every morning get a piece of chocolate out, put it there, whether you take it to work or leave it for the night, for the evening, and you know that it's there. So if you have it every day, I really want you to have it every day, 1 to 2 pieces every day, until your brain will tell you, yeah, okay, I get it. It's just chocolate. It's nothing special anymore. And the best to do it is also with bitter chocolate. So the more cacao it has, so like 75%, 80%, not everyone likes 80%, 75%, the easier it will be, because it doesn't have as much sugar, so it will not send too much kind of that reward signal to your brain. So it will help you to get that satisfaction from the 2 pieces of chocolate. So really important to reduce the blood sugar spikes, to have balanced meals that will help you to reduce your sugar cravings, carbs cravings, and that will help you with also your, feels like out of control situation with chocolate as well. So add fat and protein to every meal. I hope this helps you guys. Download that workbook. I will add that to the notes. Download that workbook. You will experience almost immediate relief when you start really focusing on this. Start with the food side. Start with balanced meals. Start with regular meals, fat and protein, and that will already improve the situation pretty fast. I hope this helps. That's been a pleasure. I will do another one about food, but it's really important that you really hone in into these food cravings, or into the 13 elements of food cravings or food triggers, and you will see that it will make a difference. Thank you so much for listening in. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, send me a question to Eugenia at Unlox'U, UNLOXU.NZ, or just find me on Instagram, also Unlox'U.NZ, UNLOXU.NZ. You will find me there, send me a message, send me a question, and I will always come back and answer your question as well. Talk to you soon. Much love. Bye for now.